Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith, I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the United Kingdom. And today I'm working with the Abigail Rose suite out of the annual catalogue. It's on page 56 and it has a lovely stamp set, as you can see here, called Cottage Rose, with some lovely dies, which are called the Cottage Flowers dies, which are here, plus this big one here, and I'll show you that in a moment. And the dies cut out this lovely flower, they cut out this sprig, but they do also cut out these other pieces as well, and I'll show you how that works, because that's what this big die does. The other thing this big die does is it cuts out the DSP. So in the suite is this lovely DSP, which is some neutrals, and it's very vanilla, which is nice for a change. I love very vanilla. So you've got smoky slate and crumb cake, and you've got early espresso as well. You can see here lovely floral images, quite kind of neutral sort of tones, lovely tulips on that there, a bit of petal pink in the stripes, some more crumb cake and some smoky slate, lovely kind of journaling background, and that's with these paper here. So when you cut this out, this is the big die, this is what it leaves, which is this aperture, and what you can do is layer that. So you can either flip it, so die cut it, flip it, and then you can put that underneath that die cut and have that lovely DSP showing through. And then on the same DSP on a second piece, so if you cut it, if you chop it up, you've then got these pieces. You can I'm just manoeuvring that there, like so. You can see that there. So it just is a really different way. So all you would then want to do is just trim the DSP away from there, or you could obviously have it at an angle, jaunty angle, but I would trim it. So I'd keep that kind of card front size and then trim the DSP down once you've got that angle in there. So there we go. That's the DSP that we're using. And we're going to use that die as well to cut out these individual flowers which we've got in the stamp set. And what are we making? We're making a crisscross card, only this is a kind of a cheap crisscross card because it doesn't use as much card. So when I've done crisscross cards in the past, you usually have 3 panels and they flip over. This one has just got a kind of a V front. You can see here that I've just added those flowers in as well. So there we go. So that's what we're doing. Yeah. So let's get started. I've used sort of black and smoky slate for this one here. And you see I've just added a little bit of blends colouring as well. As always, I've done my template with my card. I've been doing this for years. I make up a template, I add the dimensions, and I put in both my centimetres, my UK inches and my US inches for your slightly sort of shorter and wider cards. So that's what we've got. Okay, dimensions I will talk through in centimetres, but I will put the dimensions in inches, both UK and US, in the description box below this video or on my blog at flutterbyheidi.co.uk. Okay, so let's get started. So we're doing a bit of stamping, and what I do is when I've got images like this that I want to use lots of, I will stamp and die cut them in advance. But with these ones, I'm going to stamp them first and then die cut. So we just want a scrap of our very vanilla, which you can see here. I've got my stamp mounted on one of my blocks, and I'm just going to use some basic black memento. So all I'm going to do is simply stamp that onto my cardstock. It's red rubber, so you don't need to worry about having a mat to cushion it underneath. I'm going to stamp a second one on there as well, and then I'm just going to come in and just snip that apart, cover up my ink pad, and then what I do with these ones is I pop my die over the top, because I'm just going to die cut this and I want to minimise any wastage, and I just grab a bit of my post-it note tape once that's in place, and I just pop it across the centre. So it's kind of because the post-it note tape is so low tack, that's fine to do. I'm not going to take the top off my cardstock. So it will fit, all of the dies will fit through the mini cut and emboss. So that's great for travel. So there we go, there's our die cut flower for the front. I'm going to pop my die away. But what I'll talk to you about is stamping multiple images. So as I said, you know, often you'll go through and you want more than one image, and you think, oh, okay, so you do it and you line it up, and sometimes the die moves. What you can do with these ones, where you've just got the stamped image and the die, there's a quick and easy way that you can get multiple images from that. So I have die cut two, lots there, in Very Vanilla, from just using the leaf shape, and I've die cut them. What I've also done is die cut the leaf shape out of a piece of scrap cardstock, and I'm going to grab my Stamparatus and show you how I then use that to stamp lots of images. So on my Stamparatus, you'll see I've already added my stamped image there, and I've stamped it on my grid paper. And what I'm going to do is just line up that aperture around there like so, and then actually let me turn that around the other way, just to make it easier for me to ink up. So when you're inking up, pop your stamp case underneath. So I've lined that up, ink up, actually first thing, pop your die cut in, so it just goes into that aperture, ink up your stamp, and there we have our image. And to get that out, to avoid disturbing the surround, I just use my take your pick with a bit of putty, and there you have it. So again, I can just come in, do exactly the same again, add that in. And the beauty of this is that, you know, if you're sat watching telly, you could just sit and die cut a load of blank shapes, and then you could have a session of stamping them, and you end up with, you know, plenty ready for you to colour. I've used Very Vanilla, which I don't use as often, but obviously, you know, you could do that onto basic white, and it's another great way to use the Stamparatus, a really useful bit of kit. So there we've got some nice images. You can see here we've got some super sentiments as well, which I didn't use on my original card, but let's think about do perhaps one of those others. I'll have a look at that in a minute. I often don't put sentiments on my card straight away, because it's that sense of, you know, can I you know, do I always know who I want that card to be for? And I don't, to be honest with you. So I like to have them, you know, ready, and then I can quickly add a sentiment. So now we want to colour our images. I'm waffling a lot today. I'm obviously out of practice in my videos. So I'm going to use some crumb cake. I thought that this other one, so the first one was kind of quite sombre with our black and smoky slate there. So I thought, let's make this one a little bit different. So let's make this one with sort of the petal pink and the crumb cake. So we've stamped our image. Now I haven't got a petal pink, we haven't got a petal pink blends, but what I found was if I use my Flirty Flamingo and just added a little bit of colour there, and I might actually use the bullet tip because it's quite a, there we go, so I'm just going round, in effect, where those, over those memento lines, so that would obviously be a bit darker. And I'm just adding a little bit of colour in, like so. And then what I found was when you come in with your colour lifter, all of a sudden that goes from kind of being Flirty Flamingo. You see it takes on a much more sort of orange hue, more like the petal pink. So I just thought that just made a really pretty flower. And it would then tone in with that petal pink, which works so well with the sort of browns. And I say I'm just going over that. You don't have to be precise at all. Just make sure you go over all of the ones to get that petal pink colour. So there's our flower. We then want to, you could then choose to colour your leaves, and with the leaves I'm actually just going to do them almost in like a sepia. So I'm going to come in with my light crumb cake and just do a little bit of colouring just at the base and up that centre. Now if you wanted to, you could obviously do this with our markers as well. You could sort of use those to colour the leaves. There we go. I'm just running that down there. And then if you wanted to get a more blended approach, again, come in with your colour lifter. So I use a colour lifter, you know, as if it, you know, to actually add some, to blend that in. So as well as colour lifting, what it actually does is it pushes the colour into the cardstock, so you just get a more muted tone. Just where over the edges, in effect, where I've used those to kind of blend that in, like so. Okay, the other dies in the coordinating dies, you'll see here are these beautiful outline ones. So we've got some lovely flowers and leaves and another sprig here. So what I've actually done is I've already done some. So here you go, you can see I have die cut some in petal pink, as you can see, and I haven't used my fine tip sheets on these, and I'll explain why in a moment. So there's another one of the sprigs. So again, some more, you know, flowers. Did I cut any other leaves? Don't think I did. I think I just did the flower sprigs. Okay, so I just did my flower sprigs, and actually what I have done is I've done one in crumb cake. So we will have a look at that and see which one we prefer. I've got some leaves there actually in crumb cake, which might go well as well. So again, our dies, you can see I've put the dies in with the stamp set and then used the case there just to keep my die cuts handy as well. So those are my die cuts, and I said I'd say why. The reason I didn't actually add the adhesive sheet is because I wanted those to have a bit more movement. You can see there, whereas if I'd got the die cut sheets, those would stick flat, and I don't need them to, because I can actually attach them underneath with my dimensionals, and that'll be covered up by that central sprig. So let's get on to our card then. So you want to get a piece of cardstock that is 29 by 10.5 centimetres. So that mine is 10.5, and I'm just going to trim it down to 29. So I'm just going to line it up at the 0.7 on this side if you didn't want to get your arm out, and just trim that. Then you're going to score at 14.5. And then you turn it so that your score line is in the groove along with this point here. And then starting in the middle with your cutting blade, just cut in half diagonally, like so. You're then going to take a piece of DSP, and I've chosen this one. This is just be careful if you've got one that's got an orientation. Oh, that light is glaring a bit, apologies. See if I can just... There we go. So this is going to go on the card front this way. So I want to cut it in half diagonally again. And when you choose your paper, just be careful that the paper on the reverse hasn't got you can have direction on one paste, but not on the reverse. So again, line up those 2 points, and this is 9.5 by 13.5. Line up the 2 points in the track. Again, starting from the middle, you don't want to crush those points, and just cut. So that's cut in half as well. That is all you're cutting. It is you know me, I like a fun fold, but I don't want to make it too difficult either for you. So there's my one piece. This piece I'm actually going to flip over, and you'll see the edge is slightly raised on there. So to get rid of that, all you're going to do is just take your bone folder and burnish across that cut. Now if you have any little burrs that you're not happy with, just take a sanding block and take it across the edge, and that will help with that as well. So you're going to do the same on your piece of cardstock, because that again will have a slightly raised edge, and it just improves the look of it. on the edge there. So this piece is going to layer onto here, and this is going to layer onto the front there. And you've got a choice really of whether you of what effect you want. So you could do it this way, and all I would say is play around a bit with your cardstock. I'm going to put it in this way, and again, it doesn't matter if you put your DSP on first and then layer it, or which way you do it. It really makes no odds at all. You can see I've put the card across here, and I can't even remember what I did. I think I probably put the DSP on first, so let's do that. So this is the piece for my triangle. Just remember to go right into the corners on those. You don't want those lifting up later. Okay, and add that onto your card, and just like so. And again, the beauty of Tombow is you've got that little bit of wiggle room if you need to shift it very slightly. So there's our first layer, and I think I'm going to put it like that. That's perfect. So I'm going to reinforce my my crease and add my layer to the front of my card. Making a pig's ear of that. There we go. Helps if you open the card out. Okay, and then to get it lined up, the best way I find is to pop my card inside and just take a pen or a pencil really, and just mark in a couple of places where you want that to be, and then add your adhesive, because what you want to make sure is that you don't come across those lines. Okay, so plenty of adhesive. Light up with the outside edge of your card, and then fold over. And this is where I would recommend you use Tombow. Stand your card up and just pop that in place. And then all you need to do is just take an eraser to those two little marks. They'll be probably be covered up by your decoration for the front. While that's drying, I'm just going to cut a piece of very vanilla for the inside, and this one you want to be 14 by 10.5, and I forgot to prepare one earlier, so let's just so you don't want it to be you want it to be 14 by 10. So there we go. There we go. Okay, so while that is, so you can use whatever stamp you want, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use, what am I going to use? I might use my leaf stamp actually. Obviously give it a quick clean because we've used it with some memento, so you can use your chamois or whatever is your preferred method for cleaning. I'm just going to pop that onto one of our D blocks there, and then I thought if I grab some, perhaps don't want to go as deep as early espresso, and it's on the inside, I want it a bit more subtle, so maybe some crumb cake. So I'm just going to create a slight V shape in the background, and I'm going to stamp off I think with those, and my crumb cake is quite juicy by the looks of it. I obviously re-inked that. Okay, so that then, when your card is closed, that just gives a little bit of decoration there that you can see. Okay, so again, allow that to dry slightly. And then just add adhesive and pop that on the inside of our card. Okay. So now we can concentrate on our decoration for the middle. So as I said, I've kind of done two really. I've done one with the petal pink and one with the crumb cake. And do you know what? Actually looking at that now, I think probably my crumb cake is my preference. So I'm just going to layer this up and to work out how I want things to be. So I'm going to add my leaves there, and again you can either add those flat or you can add them using dimensionals, and then I'm going to add in some sprigs of flowers as well. Now this one, the pieces haven't all come out, so I'm just going to give that, look at that, a quick flick with my finger, and it doesn't matter, sometimes it's quite nice to have some of those solid pieces staying in, so don't have a worry about it. I'm going to add that there, so you can see the pink sort of stands out just against those. Yeah, and I might want to sort of just tuck that up in the centre there. And now what I'm going to do is just grab my dimensionals and I'm going to pop them over the top there. So these leaves are really going to kind of like float in place, and if you wanted to add a bit of dimension, what you can always do is once they're in place, if you grab a mini dimensional and add it under the ends of your leaves, that will help those end leaves stay up with the centre being down. So it just provides a bit of an anchor point. So I'm just lifting that up, popping it on the back of the leaf, or obviously you could put it straight onto the card and then pop it in place. She says, there we go, like so. And I'm just making sure that where I put those dimensionals, I've got space that it'll be covered up by my my flower. So there we go. I'm just going to pop those there. Okay, and then again you could always come in and tuck leaves underneath if you wanted, or to add a little bit of interest. And I would just add a little bit of adhesive to the end of those there. So you see, usually with the fine die cuts, there's usually an area where you can add a little bit of adhesive. So as I've done it on the central bit there. I just add that in, and again do the same with this one. Yeah, just a little bit of adhesive. And again, that's not, because it's going to be hidden, it's not going to matter if it squidges out a bit. Why is it there's always one piece? There we go. It decides it's going to attack. In there. So there we have our pair of Abigail Rose cards. Are you team petal pink or are you team basic black and smoky slate? I think both look lovely, and as I say, you could easily add a sentiment just on the bottom here to finish it off when you're ready. So thanks for watching. Please, if you enjoy my videos, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so you get told when I post a new video, and I really like it if you could give me a thumbs up as well. That all helps as well. Thank you for watching, and do pop along to my blog at flutterbyheidi.co.uk, where you'll find links to Stampin' Up, and you can select me as a demonstrator when you check out Heidi Smith, Flutter by Heidi. Thanks for watching. Bye now.